So yesterday, Donald Trump, President of the United States, declares a ceasefire. A peace deal has been reached. Let us go and, I want to play something for you real quick. Okay? This is the Crown Prince of Iran.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the International Press Corps, good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. This is a historic moment for our nation. I will begin with a brief message to my compatriots in Iran in Persian, which I will then translate. همیهنان ایران عزیز ما به جنگی کشیده شده که بانی آن شخص علی خامنه‌ای و فرقه تبهکار و ویرانگر اوست. او اقتصاد کشور را به ورطه نابودی کشانده، زیرساخت‌ها و منابع ملی را به تاراج برده، ثروت ملت را برای ساخت سلاح هسته‌ای هدر داده، امنیت ایران را در هم شکسته و حاکمیت ملی را از ملت ایران ربوده است. این رژیم شکست خورده در لبه پرتگاه فروپاشی است.
Let me see if I can find it in English.
It is fighting for it.
Okay, hold on.
The walk of life. Continue. Corrupt, destructive faction. زمان پایان دادن به این تباهی و آغاز دوران. Our beloved Iran has been dragged into a devastating conflict, the architect of which is none other than Ali Khamenei and his corrupt, destructive faction.
Okay. What I want to point to you, and I played it, the first part in Persian Farsi so that the folks of Iran can see it too. The Crown Prince of Iran puts the sole blame squarely upon the Iranian regime that currently occupies Iran for this war. Okay, I want to make sure you understand this. All right? You heard it from his mouth.
He has driven our nation's economy to the brink of collapse, plundered our national infrastructure and resources, squandered the nation's wealth on developing nuclear weapons, shattered Iran's security, and stolen the sovereignty of the Iranian people.
Okay. So he also accuses them of stealing the sovereignty of the Iranian people. But remember, folks, a couple of days ago, on this video, I proved to each and every one of you, and only 6 people watched the YouTube video, 75 watched the video on BitChute. For those who are not watching, it's a shame, because you're getting information you won't get anywhere else. The US, UK, and France deposed the Shah of Iran, deposed and got rid of the elected government in Iran because the Prime Minister of Iran nationalized Iranian oil. They groomed the Ayatollah in France to take over. These 3, the US, UK, and France, did this. So, in essence, what the Crown Prince is saying, whether he knows it or not, The United States, the UK, and France did all of these things to Iran, to the people of Iran, and stole their sovereignty. And they are the ones who caused this war that is occurring right now in the Middle East. But wait, Henry, you said that Trump declared there was going to be peace. That's right. On the Hill, President Trump said Israel and Iran came to him and said peace, after he stated earlier that the two countries had fully agreed to a complete and total ceasefire. Israel and Iran came to me almost simultaneously and said peace. I knew that time was now. If you thought the time was now, Mr. President, then you are one of those most ignorant human beings on the face of the earth. I guess you haven't read 2 Thessalonians 5 and verse 3, or is it 2 Thessalonians 5 and verse 3, when Paul said, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them like a woman in travail, and they, meaning the Gentiles, shall not escape. The world and the Middle East are the real winners. Both nations will see tremendous love, peace, and prosperity in their futures, Trump said on social media on Monday. Donald Trump, you are a fool. If there is a definition for the word fool, it should have your name on it. And now you're upset. Now you're angry. Why are you angry, Donald Trump? Because nobody made a fool out of you except yourself. And he goes on to say they have so much to gain and yet so much to lose if they stray from the road of righteousness and truth. The future of Israel and Iran is unlimited and filled with great promise. And as he says, God bless you both. Now, I have explained to you that God, or Gott, the German idol of Gog and Magog, Germany, all the German tribes, and the English, is not Jehovah Elohim of Israel. Jehovah Elohim of Israel has other plans. Because you see, the United States wants to keep the status quo. He wants, the United States and Europe want Israel to remain under their thumb. They want the vast majority of the Jews and all the lost tribes to remain scattered among the Gentiles. This is what they want. You see, if all Israel was gathered into that land, there would not be enough room. So they cannot let Israel expand. And because in their minds they cannot let Israel expand, the vast majority of Israel must still be imprisoned in lands all around the world among the Gentiles. And you see how many times peace is mentioned here. Let me just go to that scripture just so everyone can see what I'm talking about. First Thessalonians 5 and verse 3. Always use Strong's Concordance, folks. If you just use King James or whatever that you normally use, you're not going to, or your access to the truth is going to be severely limited. But in the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, that you know yourselves perfectly, that the day of Jehovah's wrath, that is what is talked about in the last 2 verses of Yoel 3 and 2 verses of Yoel 2 and all of Yoel 3. That is Ezekiel 38 and 39. That is Isaiah 60. That is Isaiah 66. That is Jeremiah 31 verses 31 through 34. And quite frankly, all of the chapters of 30 and 31. Just to name a few. The day of Jehovah's wrath so comes as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that they should overtake you as a thief. Now, so he was yesterday gloating about being some sort of peacemaker. And then, let's see here. Then this happens. Breaking. Iran breaks ceasefire with Israel. Breaks ceasefire as Israel aims to hit Tehran. So, 2CTV. This is a very good one to watch. He is an Iranian. And he puts out accurate information. He knows when the Ayatollah needs to take a crap. That's how good he is at this. Okay? So, he said, Iran broke the ceasefire. I want you to remember that. I'm not going to listen to it. You can see the headline. Go and watch it yourself. Now, the UN report uranium particles enriched to 83.7% found in Iran. Okay? You can go find that, look for that. Satellite imagery, this is on Zero Hedge. Imagery flags unusual activity at Iran's Fordo nuclear site days before U.S. strike. That means they were tipped off. Now the U.S. was gloating about how nobody knew. 24 hours before, he let the Prime Minister of Israel know. Who then tipped off Iran a few days before? Now, what happened after? I don't have the videos or the screenshots to pull up to show you, but you can look it up. Iran, after the Fordow and the other 3 sites were bombed out, supposedly. First of all, it's very clear that they were tipped off, that Iran was tipped off. So, Iran tipped off the U.S. in their counterstrike against a U.S. base over there in Qatar. I believe that's where it was. They let the U.S. know. It's like they're playing a game. It's a little kabuki dance they're doing. Because, folks, I accuse the United States of America, the British, and the French, and others, that they do not want to have any part of the Crown Prince of Iran taking over the throne and having an elected government that the people of Iran can, choose their own way. They don't want that. And they claim that their nuclear ambition has been... No, it hasn't. They've seen particles of 83. All they need is it to be the uranium to be purified to 90%, and then they will have enough for nuclear weapons. 83 point whatever percent that you just saw is extremely close, and they pulled it out because somebody in Washington, D.C. tipped them off. Why on earth would anybody in Washington, D.C. want Iran to have nuclear weapons? And for those of you who don't realize this, it's about 5 to 10% pure uranium that is required for energy, for the power of lights and the electrical system. There is no other reason to have 83% purified uranium except for nuclear bombs. Somebody in Washington, D.C. wants Iran to have nuclear bombs. Okay? But they keep insisting. He issued a direct warning to Tehran stating that unless the regime agrees to a peace deal with Israel, additional U.S. military action remains on the table. This is what they said. We know that Iran broke the ceasefire, but what did Trump say? Where is it? Somewhere I have it. Hope I didn't lose it. All right. There it is. All right. Furious Trump slams Israel as fragile ceasefire crumbles. Well, just listen to what he had to say. Let's listen to words coming out of his own mouth.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Yes, so he got embarrassed. And he's blaming both of them. A pretender. A fraud. Just like a typical Christian. Pretended to be a friend of Israel. He even pretended to be the king of Israel. For those of you who forgot, when one of his preacher buddies declared him the king of Israel, Donald Trump reposted on Twitter, and Herod did something less than that, and a messenger of Jehovah came and gave him some extreme worms. that ate him alive. Literally. It is Donald Trump who does not know what he is doing. He made a fool out of himself. And I warned everyone around me, do not participate in the world's political system. All of these countries are controlled by demons. And the whole world today is controlled by the adversary himself, the adversary of Jehovah Elohim of Israel and his Moshiach. I knew this was not going to stand, but I'm not going to go up there and in advance tell everybody what I think is going to happen, because that's just speculation. I can tell you what I know is going to happen. We'll go to Ezekiel 38, and we're going to find out what is going to happen. So now, what do you think Donald Trump is going to do? Is he going to say to Israel, we're no longer going to help you? Because you see, there are two camps in the Trump administration, those who don't want to get involved in foreign wars and those that do. That is common knowledge. So, two camps in the Trump okay. One wants out of foreign wars. There is a general understanding that within the Republican Party and within the MAGA movement that there are different viewpoints on foreign policy, particularly concerning military intervention. One significant group, that would be the largest group, sometimes described as the restrainers, favor a less interventionist foreign policy and wants to limit U.S. involvement in foreign wars. In fact, the vice president himself did not want to have any part of this. Okay? So, that in mind, we're going to look at Ezekiel 38 yet again. The word, the speech of Jehovah. Jehovah is how it's pronounced. It's very difficult for me as an English speaker to pronounce it correctly, but the last syllable is the accented part of the word. Came to me saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog. Now, folks, George is the English word for Gog. You may not know that, but it is. I have done several videos on it. The land of Magog, and it's a son of Japheth. Rosh, Rosh, captain of Meshech and Tubal. Well, some claim that Meshech is Moscow. Okay. And prophesy against him, or prophesy. It does not say prophesy against them. It says prophesy. And say, says Adonai Yehovah, or Yehovah. Gog, Rosh, chief of Meshach and Tubal, return with hooks in your jaws. Come on out with your army, with your sus, that means horses or cavalry, and birds, war birds. Also as a swallow from its rapid flight. That's right, folks. And horsemen, cavalry, all of them clothed with armor, and abundant company. Okay, all of them handling sidearms, swords, whatever. And who is first? Who is first on the list? Persia. Persia. Then Cush. Then Put, which would be, all of this would be northern Africa, including if Ethiopia is, this is essentially northern Africa. Maybe or maybe not sub-Saharan Africa, we don't know. With shield and helmet. Then Gomer. Now Gomer is Ashkenaz and Riphith and Togarmah. That is essentially all of Western Europe, all of Eastern Europe, and Armenia, Turkey, Azerbaijan, places like that. And it includes, and it's after, because Togarmah is of Gomer as well, but it also mentions Togarmah of the north quarter. So apparently there is a batch of Togarmah up in the far north that's also going to come down and participate. A coalition of the willing against who? Against Israel. Why? Is it because, I'm not saying that it is it because that somebody, we know that in those days that Tarshish is a great power. Those who don't know who Tarshish is or what Tarshish is, Tarshish, according to, what was it, Pliny the Younger or Pliny the Elder, I can't remember which one is which, are the lands beyond the pillars of Heracles. And one of the pillars of Heracles was on the north side of the Strait of Gibraltar, aka the Rock of Gibraltar. And the other pillar is on the south side of the Strait of Gibraltar, somewhere in Morocco, west, far beyond the pillars of Heracles. Now, it says right here, they're going to come and invade to get cattle and goods. They're going to come to the hamlets, it says. It says, all of them dwelling without wall, bars, or gates. And it says, unwalled villages is praza, open region hamlet. So it's not invading Jerusalem per se. It is invading northern Israel, the hamlets of northern Israel, because they want to push it back to the 67 borders. Why? Well, if you read Yoel 3, you will see that Jehovah is going to give them the land of southern Lebanon and the right to deport the residents thereof. He's going to give them Gaza. The word is Pelesheth in Hebrew. I've done several videos on that. He's going to give them the right to deport these people out of those lands into the hand of the Sabians. Read it. Read Yoel 3, and that is going to bring in the great conflagration, the day of Jehovah's wrath. Because that is going to cause these people to come down and try to push Israel back to the 67 borders. And what does it say here? Sheba and Dedan, well, there is a Sheba and Dedan in Saudi Arabia, so it likely is referring to Saudi Arabia. And this Iranian attack, yes, I said Iranian attack using Gaza, Hamas, on October the 7th, was because Saudi Arabia and Israel were planning to normalize relations. And Iran could not have that. Because that would backfire on their 2040 plan to annihilate Israel. So it appears, according to the scripture we read, it says Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish. The young lion, you see it right there. Take a look at it. Kafir, the young lion of Tarshish, shall say unto you. Now, here's the thing. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Is it a question mark? Or it is a go ahead and do it? It says, go in to take a spoil. Gather your company to take a prey. Carry away silver and gold to take away cattle and goods and take away a great spoil. Is the United States of America and Saudi Arabia going to say, go ahead, we don't care anymore? Oh, you thought you knew. I thought I knew. But remember what I told you. If you read King James Version and believe King James Version, I guarantee you that you are going to be deceived. If you're going to read it in Hebrew, now indeed the Jews might say, well, that's how it is. Is it? I'm not thoroughly convinced that it doesn't say that Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish will say, you know what, we're done. We're done with Israel. Go ahead. That might be. You can't say it isn't. Why? Why then is Tarshish the first on the list for the two witnesses to show up and bring plagues? Why? You say, I don't know what I'm talking about? We'll go to Isaiah 66. I've told you time and time again, this Isaiah 66 is talking about the two witnesses. In the last half, of course. My internet service is not so great. Well, let's just go ahead and go to Strong's Concordance. Down here it says, this is in the final judgment against the wicked. Okay? So this is the day of Jehovah's wrath. What happens? Verse 18, for I know their works and thoughts, and it shall come that I will collect all the Gentiles, the Goy, and the tongues to see my glory. We read in Yoel 3 how he's going to do it. And I will set a sign among them. What kind of sign is it going to be? I will send fugitives, palit, escapees, fugitives, to the Goy, to the Gentiles. And who is first? Tarshish. The lands beyond the pillars of Heracles. To do what? To all these nations, and also to the coastlands, that's to Rome. It does not say that have not heard my, no, it says to hear my fame, and to see my glory. And they, Revelation 11, the two witnesses, shall declare my glory to the Gentiles. How shall they do it? With the plagues of Moshe and the plagues of Eliah the prophet. And one plague of Eliah the prophet, there's actually two plagues of Eliah the prophet. One is there shall be no rain on the earth for 3.5 years. And the second plague of Eliah the prophet is any man who shall try to kill them, fire will come out of the sky and burn them, like Eliah the prophet. And then they will have the plagues of Moshe the prophet. That is, turning water, the drinking water, into blood. Essentially, the lands are going to be uninhabitable. What on earth did Tarshish do to bring the ire of the two witnesses to Tarshish first? What I'm asking you to do is do not believe the status quo of what you've been taught in Scripture. I showed you a different way of thinking today. The greatest nation on the earth must be made an example out of first. And you may very well know why today. We shall see. I don't know this to be true. What I'm saying is keep an open mind and keep your eyes open. The United States of America and Saudi Arabia might just go and tell the world, you know what? It's all Israel's fault. Go get them. It is not out of the realm of possibilities. In fact, it can be read, easily read that way in Ezekiel 38.